This is the 13th episode of On the Serendipitous Side podcast. So we are just hoping to connect us as readers to the authors that we absolutely love. And I'm Ashley.
I'm Emily.
And today we have Allie Rowbottom on. We are so pumped. Thank you so much for coming on. The author of Aesthetica and Jello Girls, and soon to be coming out in June, Lovers Triple X.
That's
So
right.
if,
Thank you so much.
yeah, of course, if you want to start us out with like a little reading maybe from Aesthetica.
Absolutely.
Yay.
So I'm just going to read from, it's close to the beginning. It's actually technically the second chapter of Aesthetica. And then if you want me to later, there's another part at the end I sometimes read from. Summer 2017, the day I'd say my story starts, the start of a transformation I'm only now completing. Some chain wax center in West Hollywood, and my half-naked body reclined on a sheet of butcher paper. Speakers on the ceiling spewed a pop song about fire and love. I looked up at panels of fluorescent light, a poster of a woman at a nice restaurant. Her hands were folded over the white napkin in her lap. Her skin shone, concave and hairless. A steamed lobster on the table stared up at her, scarlet carapace still unbroken. Knees to chest, the waxist said. She had an accented, angular voice. I held my shins as she slathered steaming blue to my labia, the insides of my ass cheeks. The room was cold, the hot wax a comfort. Just like a virgin, she said and patted before she pulled. Pain flashed where the hair had been, a screaming hole. I closed my eyes to slip inside. I wanted it. A womanly ritual, the hurting, my ability to stand it. One I might complain about with girlfriends, like period cramps, all of us in on the same unspoken joke, the suffering required by a certain sort of body. I thought of my mother, the vacation we took from Houston to LA 2 summers before, orange light in our Hollywood hotel room and her body, squatting and squirming from the bathroom in a new cerulean one piece. 5 decades of bathing suits, and I still can't figure out where everything's supposed to go, she said. What do you think? She turned a circle, cocked a hip. The blue suit shone, and the waxist wrenched the final strip, returning me to the room. Baby, the waxist said, you like? I opened my eyes and craned my neck to see a swath of pubic hair smaller than a thumbprint. It stunned me, my own skin, infantile and pink. The coarse brown landing strip seemed somehow indecisive. Maybe just take it all, I said. The waxist nodded, returned to her pot, globbed blue over the remainder. She fanned, then pulled. What you think now? What do you think? My mother had repeated that night in Hollywood when it was just us two in the orange light assessing her new bathing suit, and I had been a mean girl. You need a wax, I said, trying out a new voice. Her face flushed. Well, obviously, she said. I buried myself in my phone. She disappeared into the bathroom, emerged in a towel. Later, while brushing my teeth, I spotted curly-cued black hairs crowding the blades of her razor, like weeds pushing through the shutters of a boarded-up house, and felt angry in a way that made me want to be even meaner. I was harsh, but she was clueless. How was she still such a little girl? Why was it my job to explain bikini lines and makeup application? Lessons of womanhood her own mother died too young to impart. I learned them from YouTube, Instagram, and though my mother said she wanted instruction too, she never stuck with the rituals I prescribed. Contouring and gua sha massage, retinol and 10-step serum routines all abandoned, as if she thought learning to care for herself would rob her own mom of the chance to rise from the dead and teach her. Baby? The waxes wanted answers. Okay, I said. She puffed cold powder onto my crotch. Baby, she said, you go now. I dressed, bare skin behind my clothes like a secret, safe with me, a pulled together girl, all the mesh shorn off, a girl wise enough to identify the mess in the first place and to fix it. I tipped using a formula my mom taught me. Leave the decimal point, then double it. Called a car and walked out into Los Angeles. Ash on the air and fire.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You have such a nice reading voice.
Oh, thanks.
Gosh, I can see that scene so vividly in my mind. It would be such a good movie.
Maybe it will be. We'll see.
That'd be
I
amazing.
can see it in my mind really clearly too. I feel like there've just been so many bikini waxes that I've spent staring at the ceiling.
The brutality, you can feel the pain.
Yeah.
For sure.
So, where did the seed inspiration idea come from for Aesthetica?
Ooh, that's a good question. I guess it was sort of a combination of a couple different things. Obviously, like personal meditations on like the confluence of womanhood and pain and mother loss. I had like written about my mother's life and her death in Jello Girls, but which is a memoir. But there were aspects of our relationship I felt like I didn't quite get to in that book that I wanted to explore. So it was partially that, like a personal um experience with those things and sort of my personal relationship to beauty and aesthetics. Um, and then also like just wanting to write a novel and get it out and move on with my career a little bit and kind of wanting to write a novel that I felt was kind of a departure from Jello Girls, both like in its tone and how I wanted to present it to the world and all that kind of stuff. So it was a multifactorial seed. I had written another memoir after Jello Girls that just I wasn't able to crack it, and it's in a drawer. Um, Probably will never see the light of day, but so I was just frustrated and I wanted to move forward and write a really fast, propulsive, kind of like edgy novel. And this is what I came up with.
You nailed it.
Was body horror like on your radar already? Like, was that something that you were kind of aiming for, or did that just happen to all come together?
It kind of just happened. Like, I mean, it was definitely in my mind, but I'm not sure if it was just that I wasn't acquainted with the term body horror, though I certainly became acquainted with it as soon as I published this book. But I knew that there were certainly elements of the plot and the things that Anna goes through that I wanted to be horrifying, but I wasn't like, I'm going to write a body horror novel.
It it worked. However you came to this, it worked. Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
So I really thought you nailed Jake. I mean, what a villain, truly. And I was curious what the experience was like writing him as a character.
Um, he's kind of he's kind of a conglomeration of a lot of different men I've known. Um, and I think like any good villain in my mind needs to be round. So that was something that went into that and also just like something that drawing from men in my past mostly helped with because like when you know someone intimately it's never one thing. And I definitely wanted that to come across like that there are moments of tenderness, there are moments of care, there are moments of extreme harm, and that these things can coexist and really like complicate, in this case, Anna's relationship in both timelines of the book with this character and make it just so much more agonizing when she like has to separate from him or wants to please him. Um, so I wouldn't say he was a tough one to write. He came pretty easily,
Yeah.
which probably says something about me. But yeah, I do feel like it was important to me that he was round, and I think he came out that way, and it just made his bad doings all the worse.
Hmm. I
You're
agree.
so real.
Yeah, it has
Yeah.
a lot of emotion for sure.
Yeah.
When you started writing, did you know how things would end, or did that come as you were writing?
I did not know. I mean, this is the novel that I really reacquainted myself with fiction writing in like as I wrote it. Like I had studied fiction writing as an undergraduate at New York University, but then I had gone on to get an MFA and a PhD and really solely focused on nonfiction during that time because it was like what I was working on with Jello Girls, which like took many different forms before it became a book. So I had strayed very far from the craft of fiction writing, and uh, I had to relearn a lot. Um, so Aesthetica, that's a long way of saying like Aesthetica was sort of my space in which to do that. And what I mentioned earlier about sort of being in a rush to get a book out and to like move on with my career did not help me when it came to the writing of this book because I was rushing. I was just like, just pushing pages out, but not thinking critically about plot, about pacing, those sort of bread and butter elements of writing fiction and nonfiction, but it's a little different, I think, between the genres. And like I had to slow down and kind of put myself back to school and read a lot of craft books and read a lot of novels. And then from that, the structure and the end point of the novel presented itself to me, but it took quite a while.
Wow.
I always tell like students and editing clients and stuff like that, like rushing will cost you time in the long run, I think.
End up having to circle back. Jeez.
Yeah.
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 So, what type of research went into writing?
Um, it was mostly like lived research. A lot of my personal relationship with plastic surgery went into this book. A lot of my like lived relationship with my mother and to some degree like my husband's mother who also passed away. So like I will say like I've been thinking about this recently, but I did really immerse myself in like at the then emerging Me Too movement and
Mhm.
in like the story of Epstein, which obviously now is developing in a crazy way, and also like Harvey Weinstein and those kind of like big shocking cultural moments around men abusing women.
Mhm.
And there was a lot of them that were coming out like while I was sort of conceiving of the novel, and I just threw myself into them. And I think if I hadn't done that, the sort of latter half of the book, I don't think would have developed the way it did. And I quite like that.
Mhm.
It goes to a very dark place, but I find it, especially the longer I'm living in the world and seeing the news cycle and seeing revelations come to the fore, like I'm just like, oh yeah, I really like this a little
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Um, and then also like I will say like about the plastic surgery stuff, like I it wasn't super hard to make the fictitious procedure aesthetica realistic, I don't think. It just felt like at the time that I was writing it, it was like the height of like the filler boom, and everybody was like so into filler and so into um like in office procedures, and it just was like already being like looking like we were going to hit that tipping point and it was just inevitably going to go in the other direction, and that's just kind of how culture works in these sort of cycles. So um it's been interesting to see some of the like trend toward not just like Ozempic, but reversing plastic surgeries really take hold because that wasn't happening when I wrote this book. Like that was just something that
Wow.
happened to
Yeah.
happen. Yeah.
You were like, yes. I
Did
Yeah.
you ever toy with any other names for the procedure itself?
I think there was another name, but I don't remember what it was. It was like, I don't remember, but it was like a trademarked procedure.
Oh,
And this is another book that had a different title when I sold it. And then like the title was at Anna Ray, which is Anna's Instagram handle.
oh.
But it turned out that there was an actual girl with that name and that handle. And so for legal reasons, we had to change both the spelling of the name and the title. Um, so I ended up keeping the Instagram handle associated with Anna Ray spelled the different way, and I used it to like promote the book. So if you go on Instagram and look for at Anna WREY, like you will see my side Instagram account that I used to
That's brilliant.
promote this book.
That's really cool. That's such a
Yeah.
good idea too.
I was just like, oh, I have to have this. Like, I have to own this for legal reasons. So, what am I going to do with it? And I ended up just posting a lot of like before and after photos and like crazy TikTok, like scam weight loss reels and just crazy stuff on there. So, it's like a little like micro performance of the culture of the novel.
That's so
Did you get to
fun.
do that on your own, or did the publisher like have any control on
No,
that? Or it was just you?
just me. Yeah.
That's so cool to just have free reign to do whatever.
Yeah, I'm very lucky to have a publisher that kind of like supports me to do my like crazy marketing stunts and whatnot. They're very chill.
That's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
So, do you feel like the journey of writing Aesthetica changed your perception in any way of the beauty industry, beauty wellness industry?
Um, did it change? I mean, certainly my relationship with it has changed as I've gotten older and in some ways like writing this book was really helpful, I think, in that regard, just like helping me make art out of confusion and suffering. Um, I do think, generally speaking, the beauty industry is a force for ill in the world, and that, like, like it's just one of those, at least in my life, I'll just speak for myself, like negotiations that I have to make as an individual and as a woman trying to live my best life in this world, and like awareness of it is key. It doesn't mean that I'm gonna like opt out of this or that or take some kind of extreme stance, but I think just being curious about it and looking at it as this like multifaceted force that's pretty much designed to make me and other women feel bad, like knowing it for that, like I think is healthy. So I'm not sure if that's a change per se,
That's curious
but it's a
about
development.
a
Yeah.
development. That would have been a better wording for that. A development.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, you're great.
Yeah.
So, do you think there are pressures that are unique to being an author online as opposed to like a traditional influencer online?
Um, Definitely. Uh, I mean, influencers is such a broad category, just
Yeah.
thinking, but like, I mean, I think I feel like I am like somewhat predisposed to being online and representing my work, and in some cases, kind of like performing the content of my novels online. Like with Aesthetica, I did sort of like use my Instagram to experiment with a little bit of like embodying the character. Just posting more thirst traps for research, just being online more. And obviously, like the side account that I mentioned is if you go to it, like you'll see there's some things that I posted like of myself, but like Facetune to almost unrecognizable. So all to say, like I think I had fun with the intersection of like social media and somewhat like influencerdom and the content of Aesthetica. But like I don't I don't know if like most writers are like that. I think it's, like I think, and they shouldn't have to be. And I think that's a big like gripe generally from the writing community about publishing in 2026 is like if one is not comfortable online or doesn't, have a platform or whatever it is that like that one like should not have to have those things to publish books. And I think that's absolutely true. It's just like it's a tough road for anyone who wants to like get notoriety or get eyeballs on their work if they're not online. So I'm not sure if that's a good answer to the question. I just like I don't know.
No, that's exactly what I was wondering because
Yeah.
it seems kind of unfair, like that you have to be somewhere online, but it kind of is the nature of things lately, at least.
Yeah, like when I was gearing up to publish Aesthetica and stuff like that, I really felt like my end goal was, which is kind of silly now, but like end career goal was to be like successful enough to be able to opt out of social media and still be read. Like I wanted to be like Otessa Moshfegh or Emma Klein, like writers who like don't need to like be out there on their Instagram story shilling for their work. But I did sort of realize in the publishing of this book that that's probably not going to happen for me anytime soon in my career. Like it's just, I think that it's harder and harder to be a writer like that. Like just given how fast things are moving with the internet. And also like I even noticed that like, I was so enamored with the way that Otessa was like completely offline, but then she like got on Depop and started using that as her social media. And now she's on Substack. So it's like the grass is always greener. Like maybe she was just kind of like, I'd love to connect with some of my readers, like, and feel the excitement therein. And I do think that like that's a really rewarding aspect of social media and the internet for writers is just being able to hear from so many people about one's work and what it means to them. Or if they hate it, you also hear that too. So
I would
pros and
feel
cons.
I don't think I could just not be on social media. I just have too much FOMO, I think.
Yeah, that's what it's for, you know? It's
Yeah.
like the whole thing is designed to make you have that.
It's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, it works.
Yeah, it does.
So, in my opinion from reading Aesthetica, I felt like you never tried to persuade the reader one way or the other regarding plastic surgery. Was that intentional that you never really, yeah.
Yeah, I just don't think that's the point of literature. Like I don't ever want my work to feel didactic, certainly, or even like at all moralistic.
Mhm.
And I don't, I write a, anything, but especially fiction to like prod a question, but I don't have an answer. I
Mhm.
don't like, I don't, I don't know. And I'm just like looking at something from like a bunch of different perspectives and just being like, let's think about this because actually like there truly is no answer. Like
Mhm.
it's not a good bad situation and most things aren't in life. So it's like if you once you take that sort of binary away, then there's so much room for it to be a nuanced other thing. And that like that I think that gray area between good and bad or right or wrong or whatever, like that's where literary fiction lives. Um, and that other genres maybe are different, but to me, like the strength of like a literary novel is just dwelling in that uncertainty and
Absolutely.
not coming away, yeah, with an answer.
Yeah, it makes it so much more thought provoking.
Yeah. It should make, a good novel should ask you questions and ask you to think for yourself, but it shouldn't tell you how to do that or what to think.
Your writing stands out for doing that because Lovers
Absolutely.
Triple X was the same way. I didn't feel like anything was like forced on me, but I didn't have to make a choice. Like I was just there and along for the ride, and it was just wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that like taking that sort of easy moralizing out of the question, like it creates empathy, or it like invites the reader to empathize with characters more. And I think like, yeah, it's more like real life.
Mhm.
Yeah. So did you know that with Aesthetica it would be like sort of an internet novel when you went into it, or did that just happen?
No, I knew that it would be, in some way like internet. Like I knew that my I went into it being like, okay, it was like I got the idea a couple years before I started it. I want to say like 2017-ish, maybe I started thinking about Instagram more. And I was like, it was kind of like this like really interesting time in Instagram's lifespan. And I was like, I had just lost my mom and I was kind of like adrift. And I found myself really taken with this one influencer, um, who I think it's totally fine to say now was Alexis Ren.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I was just like, because she had also lost her mother. She was significantly younger than me, but she'd also lost her mom. And I was watching her like Instagram and just seeing in photos like this change take place in her. And like some of it like allegedly surgical and some of it otherwise. But I was just like, man, she's so young. She's going through something similar to me, but she's doing it on this like huge public scale. And she's with this guy, and then they have this public breakup. So it was like that's what started me along the path. I'd sort of forgotten that part of it before, but like, and so always knew like it was gonna be about Instagram because it just felt like, wow, like here I am, a woman at that time in her late 20s, like I'm feeling like really affected by this app. And if I'm feeling this way, what's it like for like women who are significantly younger than me? Um, and yeah, so and I had just been like, I grew up reading like 17 magazine, and that had affected me enough. So I was just like, this is like 17 magazine, like times a million on steroids. Like, so what would that be like? Let me explore.
Sorry, I had a cough attack mid,
No,
but I'm
no
listening, I
way.
swear.
Bless you.
Thank you.
So how long after finishing Jello Girls did you wait before you went into writing Aesthetica?
I mean, it's hard to know when I finished Jello Girls. Like when it came out, it was I think July 2018. And I don't think that I started writing Aesthetica until I mean I had a couple different starts because actually my computer was stolen at early on. And my husband's was as well. He's also a writer, and we hadn't packed up. So we both lost a bunch of work.
Horrible.
Um, it was awful. It was really awful. It was like we had been staying in an Airbnb and someone broke in. But now we back our stuff up, obviously. But yeah, so I want to say it was like probably early 2020, like right around when we all went into lockdown, that I might have had like some pages before then, but that I really like sat down and started to like work carefully on the book and not rush. Um, and I want to say that. I finished it in like, I don't know, like mid 2021 and sold it in at the mid 2021, something like that.
Yeah.
But there had been like a lot of preliminary writing before then that just either got stolen or like was just free writing. So it did take me longer than that. I always want to say that like when people ask about how long it takes to write something, because I just feel like quicker is not better. And that's been like the biggest, like I'm a fast writer by nature. Like I can write something really, really quickly, but like my challenge is knowing that it's not good just because it's fast and then I need to put it away and come back to it and work on it more, that kind of thing.
Was it hard to hand over Aesthetica after narrating Jello Girls yourself?
As an audiobook,
Yeah.
um, uh, I think that I tried to get them to let me narrate it, and it because it's like fiction and stuff, they were like, "Can you be more dramatic when you read?" And I was like, "No, I can't. You should get an actor." And I think that that was definitely um, the best case scenario because like I don't know. I've read a couple reviews of my audiobook of Jello Girls and people think I'm not a very good reader.
Oh,
Um,
good. I listened to the audio of it.
you liked it?
I liked it.
Yeah.
I thought it was
I
Thanks.
like I like your
Oh, that's nice.
narration.
Thank you. It is really grueling to narrate an audiobook, I will say. Like it's like full days in the studio and your voice kind of gets tired and you have to like after lunch, you have to like put like stacks of pillows on top of your stomach because the recording like equipment is so sensitive, it'll pick up your stomach gurgles, like even the smallest ones. So
Um,
I'm fine not narrating my novels.
did you have much say as far as like how screen names would be read and like emojis, how that would be verbalized?
Um, I don't remember. I'm sure they asked me and I was just like, whatever you guys think. I know it's like it's a little weird in the Aesthetica audiobook, right? Because she's like heart eyes emoji, heart emoji, star emoji. Like it's just very strange.
In some portions, but I liked, I mean,
Yeah,
it made me feel like I was online. Like it
Same.
did its job,
That
I
didn't
think.
bother
that's
me.
good.
It wasn't like sometimes in a book where there's like a really repetitive thing and the narrator has to read it over and over. For some reason, I can read a word like 50 times and be okay with it. But hearing it, I'm like, no.
That's so funny.
So, have the publishing journeys will now, with another third book coming out, been very different for each of your books?
Yes, definitely very different. Jello Girls was like it was like so easy to sell. It was, I mean, the whole journey, like when I finished it, or around when I was finishing it, I didn't have an agent. I met my agent for that book at Tin House, which is like a writers conference. Yeah. And like just immediately clicked. She signed me. We did like one round of revisions and sold it in like a week to a big publisher. And Aesthetica, literally nobody wanted it. It was passed on by a lot of publishers. And I just felt so relieved and grateful when Mark, my editor at Soho, picked it up. And he's an incredible editor and he's an incredible writer in his own right. So I just felt like I knew I was in good hands. Like I knew so many people who spoke so highly of him. And yeah, Soho was great. They like obviously nailed the cover. They packaged it so well. They understood the book. They're really like, um, and this comes into play with lovers as well, but they're just so literary. Like they're so down to deal with like dark material that I think more like commercial or like, I guess like corporate, for lack of a better word, publishing houses like are very adverse to right now. So I just feel like so I found my home. And then Lovers, like we sent it to Mark and he loved it. So it was great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What was the research process like for Lovers?
It was extensive. Um, it was very fun. And like I would definitely say Lovers has been like the most fun. Jello Girls was not fun to write for obvious reasons.
Yes.
Aesthetica was like more fun, but it still has like this sort of like deep emotional, like personal quality to it. But Lovers is like completely made up. Like it's not autobiographical, obviously, in any way. I mean, all of my characters are me in some way, I think, but like it's not an autobiographical novel. And yeah, I just like I'll just tell you sort of the origin story of it because that leads into research. But like I had thought that I was gonna write a novel about two singer-songwriters in Laurel Canyon in the 60s. I had like growing up, I had really loved Joni Mitchell's music, still do. And I then had discovered, like in my 20s, this artist named Judy Sill, who, yeah, she's kind of a cult icon now, but like she was lesser known then, and she had this sort of crazy background of like robbing liquor stores and heroin addiction. And I was like, that's so cool. And she never really like made it like Joni Mitchell. So I wanted to write this novel sort of from each of their perspectives, sort of interrogating who makes it in art and why, and like what are the forces beyond artistic merit that like make someone a success commercially or not. But then I was like starting it and I was just like, I'm not a musician. I don't know a lot about music. I'm kind of bored. Like it just wasn't coming together. And at the time I was listening to this podcast by Lily Analick, who wrote Didion and Babbitts, who is a wonderful and a great friend. And she had done a podcast about Tracy Lords, who um, was a porn starlet in the 80s and very successful, but then like it was revealed that she had been underage for a portion of her career. And as I listened to the podcast called Once Upon a Time in the Valley, it was so good. And I was just like, this is a world that I want to spend some time in. Like I'm so enamored with this. I love the time period. I live in Malibu, and the valley is like right across the hill, over the hill. Like I'm in the valley all the time. Like I just felt like this is where my heart is right now. So from there, I just started consuming everything I could. And there is like a lot of, there's a great podcast called The Rialto Report that just um, curates oral histories from adult stars of every era. And I listen to all of those. And actually, I have it right here. This book by Legs McNeil, The Other Hollywood, is an incredible, it's so fat. And this is all oral history of the porn industry. So stuff like that. A lot of reading, a lot of listening, a lot of watching. Which was interesting because like I wouldn't say that I have been like a porn aficionado in my life thus far. Like a casual consumer sometimes, but definitely not an aficionado, but I have become one through the research process of this novel.
You're the go-to person now.
I like of a certain time period, yes.
It was so clearly well researched, and that, I mean, the times didn't line up. Other stuff from Jello Girls didn't line up. I knew it wasn't
Yeah.
autobiographical, but I was like, did she live a double life at some point? Like, this is the accuracy. I mean, I'm assuming because I wasn't there either, but oh, it blew me away. So I figured there was a lot of research there.
Yes, there was. Thank you. Like I have to say, like, I've had this experience writing before, uh, but never the way I have with this novel, which is that like it felt a little like witchy, like it felt a little like I was maybe like a conduit for somebody's story, like it was just a very in the zone writing experience. And like I would kind of like just write furiously for hours and come out of it and just be like, what just happened? And even now, like thinking about it, like I know where I was during that time. I was sitting in this chair, but like it was weird. It was just
I have
weird.
goosebumps.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's
It's
really
weird because that came across reading it because I told Emily, I was like, I'm a few pages in. Truthfully, I was like, I'm not sure yet. We'll see.
Yeah.
And then I like later that night was like, okay, well, I'm 150 pages in now. I just blinked and here I am like
and
halfway
then
done.
I
So
woke up and she was like, "Holy shit, I finished it." I was like, "When did you start it?" Yesterday.
That's
yeah,
amazing.
so how you felt is very much how I felt. I would like look down and be like, okay, a few more pages, and it would be like hours that passed.
A reading
It,
trance.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
it really.
That's so cool.
I love it.
Well, if you want to, would you want to read a little bit from Lovers?
Yeah, sure, I will. Was the length of the last one, was that too long or is that good?
No,
Okay, I'll just
not at
I'll
all.
just read from the beginning. I haven't read that much from this book yet, so it's kind of exciting. Okay, so this is just the beginning of chapter one. I'll just read actually a really short part. Jude, 18, only just. Frizzy brown hair, soft suburban features. Arms crossed across her chest, forehead pressed to the smudge window of the 492, watching miles whip by, all strip malls, wilting palm trees, and wild bougainvillea, as if the sight of so much natural beauty mixed with human mess might account for how she wound up riding the bus to Los Angeles, city of cars, Ford Woody wagons, Datsuns, Camaros. Around her, adults sat solo in window seats, absorbing the same scene, though Jude sensed they saw it different. A dull resignation to their gaze, like they knew she rolled her skirt to make it shorter, pushed her boobies up on purpose with the cross of her arms. When a red Corvette pulled alongside, lingering for a moment before accelerating, she saw it as a sign, beckoning toward an ideal future, sex and speed, though her favorite color was yellow. Graffiti in shades of purple and pink popped from gray concrete in the lowering light, through painted corridors, up and down ramps that swooped and whirled, the bus labored. It merged onto the 101, exited on Highland, turned right, lurched to a stop. Doors swung open with a push of frisson, compression of air, and Jude stepped onto Hollywood Boulevard, a street paved with stars. Stop
Ooh, that's a nice teaser.
there.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Do you
You're
want
so welcome.
to have anything you want to plug? Any stuff coming up? Where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram. I'm not on X anymore. And I have a website and stuff like that. But yeah, Lovers is coming out in June, so pre-order. Actually, if you pre-order and DM me your receipt of purchase, I will send you um a little thank you gift that I've ordered that are really cool. So
Oh, that's fun.
yeah.
I loved my
Oh, nice.
we have one.
Yeah,
Awesome. Those
we
look
were both
great.
so excited.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it's an amazing cover. Super sexy.
Yeah, again, Soho does such a great job like capturing the vibe, and this designer's name is Luke Bird. He
Did
did a
amazing.
great job.
Yeah, truly.
Is it the
Uh,
same designer from your first cover?
no, it's not. The
Oh,
designer of the Aesthetica cover is an artist named Jaya Nicely.
Oh,
Um, and this is Luke Bird. So a
they
little
nailed
different.
it.
Yeah, both did a great
But
job.
absolutely. Both good.
Well, thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
It was fun chatting with you.
Yeah, you as well. Thank you for fitting me in and dealing with my time
Oh,
snafu.
please. No worries at all. Giving us your time.
Of course.
Talk
My
to you.
pleasure.
Bye,
See
Allie.
Bye.
ya.
Bye, guys.